Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're on. Hi, everybody. It's Tuesday night, so it's time for Tuesday Night with Tony. And look, Kenny Forgione's here. Look at him. There he is. The one, the only Kenny Forgione.
Am I really here?
Yes, you are really here. Look, I have proof. I see us right there.
Oh, yeah, there I am.
Before we get started, very important, Kenny wants me to share this on his wall so that his people can see it. So I need to do that. So, let's see. So bear with me because I don't know what I'm doing myself. All right, so here we go.
Frank
So,
Walker's watching.
Share. Frank
Melissa,
Walker's watching? All right, so
Ballo.
share.
Boilo.
Oops, nope, that's not what I
Kenny
want to do.
Friedman.
Share.
Who the Mets are playing. What's the score?
The Mets are winning 1-0.
Here's Sue. We're going to make her sing.
Nope, that's not it. I think. Where's your phone?
I have it right here.
I think if you go to the page on your phone, you can hit share and it'll just share automatically to your page.
Okay.
So find
All right, so I gotta go to
Tuesday Night with Tony.
So
Hey,
is it
Melissa.
on your regular page? Is it on your regular page?
No,
Just
no,
on
it's
Tuesday.
Tuesday night. It's a Tuesday night page, yeah. Don't mind us, we're just
Nice.
Hanging around.
hanging around, playing around on our phones, trying to figure out what the hell we're doing.
Tony. All right, search. What happened
Hit search again.
Want to sing something, Sue?
there? Let me do this again. Tuesday.
There you go, Tuesday Night with Tony right
Oh,
there.
there it is.
Wendy Kelly Friedman is watching.
Wendy Kelly Friedman. Hi, Wendy Kelly Friedman.
Angela Clark.
That says
Gia
live.
Coloni.
Right,
There you go,
so.
Jeff
there you go,
Siegel's
share.
watching.
That's it, share now, public.
No, Jeff, we're
Or
not
if you
turning the
wanna write
Mets game
something.
off.
What's that?
Jeff Siegel wants to turn the Mets game off.
Yeah.
Can you actually see it?
Well, I went to show Sue and then he
Yeah,
noticed.
don't show it, 'cause they might shut us down actually for showing copyrighted material.
Yeah, don't do that.
Ah, man. That'd be horrible.
Okay, I think I'm on. I don't know.
Okay, I think you hit the share, right?
I did.
I think you're good. All right. So now that we're all set, that was some start. All right, we're now going to start off with Kenny singing a song. I'm going to get out of the way. What better way to start than Kenny singing a song? All right.
Yay.
I never know how I'm going to sing, so I always sing something real low, so
gonna
I
be
know I
great.
can hit the note. I listen to the wind of my soul. Where I'll end up, well, I think only God really knows. I've sat upon the setting sun, but never, I never wanted water once. No, never. Well, I listen to my words, but they fall far below. I let my music take me where my heart wants to go. I swam across the devil's lake, but never, I never make the same mistake. No, never.
Yay.
So that was Cat Stevens way down in the cellar to sing, just so I know that I can at least hit the notes.
That's fine. No, that was great. That was, and what I like about it is that that's not something you hear regularly. You know, that's wasn't a typical Beatle tune or something.
Yeah,
You know, that's
well,
not something you hear regularly.
If
so
you
I
know
like
one
that.
of your stories, a lot of this stuff, well, you know, some of the stuff you definitely hear, but
Absolutely.
you'll definitely hear oddball songs. You know, there's no question about it. I got a bone to pick with you, though. You know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh God.
yeah. Well,
Here we go. What I do?
Here we go. Well,
Go ahead.
you know, I'm a little disappointed. Just a little bit.
Just like most women in my life. Mets winning 2-0, by the way. Jeff Siegel. Go ahead.
But
Sorry.
anyway, no.
What'd I do?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, Frank, your brother, he might be watching. I don't
He
know
is
if
watching,
oh,
right?
He is
Sally
watching.
said he
Okay.
is.
Yes.
He sends me a personal note on Facebook, and he tags you along on it, and he
Oh,
writes
asking you about this.
asking if I
Okay.
can do this, and I said, well, what's involved? You know, what do I have to do? And you wrote, well, first, you know, you have to come and have sex with barnyard animals. And, and you did.
You don't even remember saying that.
And so I, you know, I said to myself, well,
So that's what got you.
that got me excited. So meanwhile, I'm looking around. Are there any barnyard animals?
We have 3 dogs.
Nah.
They just ran away.
No, actually, you did write that. And Frank goes, and I said, and you started naming all these other stuff, like regular stuff. And I said, no, you don't have to go into it. You had me at barnyard animals. And Frank, right, oh my God, both of you guys are scary. You know, so,
Well, yeah, that's the difference. Frank is, he's the nice one. Yeah, I always tease him because Sherry and Faye, who were here a few weeks ago.
I commented on that.
Right, and again, because Frank's always the nice one. So the first time I met them and introduced myself, they didn't even know Frank had a brother. So, and that's kind of like the running joke. You know, he doesn't admit to it because he's so nice.
Your brother Frank never swears. Never. Well, hardly ever. Maybe you've heard something.
I've heard it. Don't buy that. Give me a break.
Is there something I don't know about?
Oh yeah, he's as normal as the rest of us. He's not this, this gushy. Yeah, like what was it?
He's not St. Francis?
No, he's not St. Francis. I don't care what anybody says. Even with the long.
Sorry, Frank. He's at home going, I'm going to kill these
Oh,
guys.
absolutely. The worst is when he was on the Long Island Medium and Frank was begging her to come play with her, and she turns to the camera. How can you say no to Frank? Oh, Frankie, I think she called him.
Oh, he was on the psychic. That's right. You're friends with the psychic.
Yeah, he grew up with the Long Island Medium. Yeah, and how can you say no to Frankie? Give me a break. He curses. He watches porn. You don't fool me. He absolutely does. I got in big trouble the other day on the radio show. Some woman called in, and honest to God, I have no idea who this woman was. Still don't, actually. But it was obviously some kind of prank. Some woman called the radio show. Excuse me. She called the radio show, and she started talking about how she wanted to lick our balls. That's what she called about. But Frank happened to be there. He was there as an in-studio guest that day, so my co-host Eric...
Do you have her number?
Actually, we may.
We actually think Eric's got this friend in Arizona, and he has... We were wondering, like, it sounded like something... All the things that she was saying sounded like something he would say. We were wondering, like, maybe it was, like, one of those computer things that you could change your voice to, like, a different sex. Because she was totally keeping up with you guys as far as...
But the comedy.
But my co-host Eric started asking her if she would like to lick Frank's balls. So Frank was like, getting a little uncomfortable. God, give me a break. And then, of course, my mother had to yell at me, why are you doing that to your brother? Meanwhile, he's older than me. But, acting like we're kids. Why are you doing that to your brother? Get over it. So, yeah. So don't be fooled by that no cursing. Yeah, all right. I'll go on all day with this. All right, but that's actually one of the 6 degrees of separation that I had with you. You've known Frank for a long time.
I think I met Frank through Ed Ryan in the 90s because I think they used to do one of them. I think Ed Ryan was doing an open mic, and I started showing up there, which I have a crazy story about Ed Ryan. But
okay. We're up for crazy stories.
And then I think I showed up there, and I think your brother was subbing from.
Oh, okay. And that's where you met?
Subbing from, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the 90s, you said? Okay.
Yep.
And that's that's one of our degrees of separation because you go back that far with Frank. We just met, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago or something. But we just a few minutes ago, we're talking about Kenny Friedman, who I go back to, I think, the late 80s, early 90s. I go back with his wife over 30 years ago.
See, I'm mid-90s I didn't meet a lot of the Long Island people. I grew up in Queens. I grew up in Queens, and I lived all over Queens. And I didn't really, my cousins lived on Long Island. I used to go out to visit my cousins and this and that. But I didn't move out of here until '89 when I started having kids. And actually, my ex-wife had the kids. I was there for the ride. But no, so then I moved to Merrick in 1989, and I didn't. I was playing music. I was playing mostly in Bayside, Queens.
Oh yeah.
With my partner Kevin McCann. Yeah, we were doing a lot of duo stuff. I mean, I was doing trio stuff too, and.
But when did? All right, so let's get into it. Because I thought Wonder Stories was like late '80s, no?
No.
Yeah, tell us the history. Wonder Stories, if you don't know, call you the leader. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because you've been the main. Yeah, Kenny is
I
the
don't
leader.
Like to brag or anything.
Well, I'll do it for you. Kenny is the leader of Wonder Stories. They've been one of Long Island's top bands for many years. I thought the late '80s, but we'll get into the history in a second. Either way, for several years now, one of the top Long Island bands, one of the most highly regarded Long Island bands, and they're known for not only the great musicians, but also the different types of shows. They do full album shows. They do like just a few weeks ago they did Jesus Christ Superstar. You're not going to get that from any other band. A rock band. And they've had some notable people sit in with them and play with them. They do, which we've talked about on here, they do at the Space in Westbury every year. They recreate the George Harrison Bangladesh concert, and they actually...
That didn't start there, but we're on us. We did 2 years in a row now.
Okay.
We've done it 7 times, actually. The first 3 times we've done it at B.B. King's in Manhattan.
Oh, wow.
And then we did it 2 years. The next 2 years we're at the Highline Ballroom, which is like the sister club of B.B. King's. Better sound in the Highline Ballroom. And now the best, I think, place we do it at is the Space, which is, I'm not going to say an unknown quantity, but on the island, but definitely one of the newer places for sure, and maybe the best.
But you're right, yeah, little under the radar sometimes. But I agree, the best.
Well,
Jeff is just fantastic there.
That's just from being new,
Right.
newer.
Right.
Like Westbury Music Fair has been there for forever.
Right.
But
yeah, the Space is just great for any show, and great atmosphere. The lounge.
But we had a great time the last year. We sold out. We sold it out.
The year before you sold out too.
Yeah, but then they put on standing room tickets, and those sold out, and then. I'm sure a few people might have snuck through the back door. Hey, where you going?
Yeah.
So let's get into it then. How did Wonder Stories start? What year?
It's really strange because, people say we're a tribute band, but we're not really a tribute band.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
we're a cover band. We cover people's material for sure. But Wonder Stories, it evolved. It just happened. It wasn't something, me and Kevin had been playing as a duo forever. First of all, my first band ever was with Kevin McCann. I didn't know how to play guitar or anything, and I used to sing in school. And then as a teenager, Kevin asked me to sing in his band because they could play, but they couldn't sing. So I'm in my late teens, and I say, I just got to teach myself the guitar. So I picked up I have pretty good ears, so I picked up the guitars. I bought chord books, and I started learning songs and stuff like that.
How old
Totally self 17.
Wow. Yeah, that's a late start for a lot.
That's a late start, yeah.
That's
Everybody else, of all my friends who were real musicians, they were taking lessons. I never took lessons, ever. So I just totally learned myself. But anyway, so I was in this band, and then in 1979, that band broke up. It was my first band in the late 70s. And me and Kevin started playing a duo at Gantry's Pub right across the street from St. John's University. Okay. Where I got to meet a few people right before they became famous. Frank Viola and the lefty
John Franco.
John Franco, yeah. John Franco. I met him.
You said the lefty, and you said...
Well, I know he went to St. John.
Yeah, he went to St. John's.
I know my Mets.
He knows his Mets. And I was like, hey, good luck, because this guy's going, yeah, he's going to be a pro pitcher. I'm like, good luck, man, good luck. He's like, thanks, man. You guys sound good. You're playing good.
But he doesn't play guitar. Fuck him.
But anyway, so, we played as a duo through the whole 80s. And then Kevin McCann, in 1988, was asked to go out with, speaking of Billy Joel, before me and you were talking about Billy, Phil Ramone, his producer, produced this big, gigantic Elvis show. Oh. And Kevin went on the road as Scotty Moore, Elvis's guitar player. And they did the Beacon Theater for a whole month. They did Las Vegas.
Wow.
Kevin got to meet Bruce Springsteen and everything. All these people that came to see the show and everything.
Wow.
But so I had to get different partners then. When he left, I got a different partner, a guy named Pete Cronin, who was great. Worked for Musician Magazine, worked for Madonna's company down, and then he moved to Nashville. Then I had to get another person to replace him. And I went through the Village Voice and got a keyboard player named Reggie. And Kevin came back right at the time, and I had picked this guy, Reggie. He was a really good piano player. And Kevin came back and said, I need work. You know, just like all guys who go out on the road. They think they got it real good, and they do. But when they come back, their work is not sometimes there. So Kevin, I said, you know, I was doing duo. I think a trio would work better. So we started doing a trio thing. So then Reginald Vance Barnes. It sounds
like a soap opera name.
Sounds like a. But anyway, so Reggie had to leave. So we're doing a duo again, and actually we were with a piano player this one night, Dan Walker, and he was playing, and somebody who came to see us play all the time came in and said, I brought this other keyboard player with me. His name is Chris Clark. And he loves, like I told him that sometimes you play a little bit of Yes and you play a little bit of Genesis and stuff like that. So I brought him to see you. And so we started playing, and I'm like, looking back at it, we were getting some of the chords wrong. Because very complicated stuff. We were kind of, trying to make it work with two acoustic guitars, this big production of stuff. So I knew we weren't really playing exactly right. But anyway, I said to the keyboard player, would you like to sit in? And he said, okay. And I said, he says, Yes stuff. So he goes, yeah. And I said, well, how about I've seen All Good People? We could actually play that, and you could play too. And all of a sudden, this guy started playing all the parts and the flute parts and everything.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. And he is amazing. He started playing in all these Broadway shows, and now he plays with Brand X, Phil Collins' old band. You know?
Mm-hmm.
He's playing with them as we speak. Maybe I don't know if he's playing tonight, but maybe he's watching here. I don't know if you're there, Chris. But anyway, so we started playing with Chris Clark. So we were a trio, and we were just starting to play all this stuff, and we weren't Wondrous Stories. This was like 1992, probably. So we started playing. Me and Kevin were playing in the Hamptons, and we were the only guys out in the Hamptons without a tan. Everybody out there had a tan. We were two like pearly white guys, so we started calling ourselves Casper and Spooky. I swear to God. So I said to Chris, I said, we're named after a cartoon character. What do you want to be? And he said, Bugs. So we were Casper, Spooky, and Bugs. And we started playing in Merrick at the Yankee Peddler.
Oh, yeah. I remember that place. Yeah.
Yankee Peddler. So, we were doing real well there. And at the same time, I was still playing in Bayside, Queens. That was our home base. We played in Bayside for like years. I didn't even go into that yet, but through the whole 80s, we played in Bayside. And anyway, so we started playing this place called Blossoms. And there was this band that was there Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And they stuck us in the middle on Thursday nights. So the guy comes in, he goes, would you mind if I leave my drums here? His name was Mike Bellucci. And so I said, no, we can work around that. It's all right. He goes, because I play here Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. It'd be a shame if I have to move it out anytime. So he goes, would you mind if I sat in with you? So all of a sudden we go, no, that's a good idea. So all of a sudden it's Kevin, myself, Chris Clark, and Mike Bellucci. Mm-hmm. And this just happened.
Right.
So he starts learning some stuff. He learned a little bit of the Yes stuff, not too much. But we were playing stuff like Elton John and The Who and the Beatles and all this kind of stuff. And it was pretty cool. So then all of a sudden, it turned 1994, the early 1994, and we started calling ourselves Wondrous Stories because we started playing a few Yes songs. But Kevin was so good on the guitar that I had to learn the bass. So I forced myself to learn bass. Wow. I never had played bass really. Sure. So I started learning these intricate Yes bass parts. I really had to shed that. I really had to pay attention. So we started calling ourselves Wondrous Stories. And that was in 1994. And about 6 months into that, I forgot what happened, but Mike Bellucci says, I got some kind of other obligation or another job or something, and I can't be in the band anymore. And right at that time, Ricky Martinez, our current drummer, Kevin goes, Ricky's available to play. And Ricky's a great drummer.
Yeah.
Mike Bellucci's a great drummer. Ricky knew the prog rock material a lot more than Mike did, though. So,
right, because you guys started off doing a lot more of that, right?
Well, especially, like I said, the first 6 months we played some Yes,
right.
Maybe a little bit of Genesis with Mike, and Mike was a great drummer. But Ricky knew all the prog stuff. Mike would have had to learn everything.
Right,
This guy knew it, and he was good, Ricky Martinez. So all of a sudden, like he goes, well, I know this song and this song. I go, well, I don't. I'm going to have to go home and learn it. So I'm back on the bass. I'm like, I must have drove my ex-wife crazy, and, playing this Yes stuff all the time. But anyway, so now we're Wondrous Stories. And now people are starting to come to see us play. And we're playing Yes, Genesis. We're still playing The Who and Beatles and Elton John and stuff like that. But
all that stuff.
Yes,
yeah.
Genesis, Emerson, Lake and Palm, we stopped playing that stuff.
Yeah, so, like you said, very intricate bass stuff. So you're starting out.
So it's us for 3 years. And in 1997, Tommy Williams, if you know who Tommy Williams is.
I think so.
Well, if you don't, you should know who he is. Tommy is amazing. Tommy started to see us play. And by the way, Kenny Friedman, I had met Kenny Friedman along the way. Kenny was playing up in Bayside, and I walked into
with Jane Doe?
It might have been. But anyway, I heard about this guy that knew some Genesis, and especially right. Genesis. And I love Genesis,
So do I.
So he says it was 94. I think it was 95. But it was right around there, beginning of 95 maybe. But anyway, so I went in there, and Kenny Friedman became the first keyboard sub for Wondrous Stories, and he still plays, and Kenny's a great guitar player too,
yeah,
and he's playing guitar.
Yeah.
And, so he subs with us on guitar or keyboard. Very talented guy.
Yeah,
and he plays bass too, which sometimes he hates, I think. I think he do. But anyway, so we're playing for 3 years now, and it's 1997 now. This was 2 years after I met Kenny Friedman, and this guy comes walking in with a substitute drummer that we used, Adam Snyder, who's another really great drummer, great singer too. But anyway, he brings this guy Tommy Williams in, and I see Tommy Williams in the audience, and he had just gotten done playing. He was Debbie Gibson's guitar player for all our hits and all this stuff. I don't know if he...
Poor bastard.
He's got a couple of gold records.
That's good. That
it's
works.
all an experience. It's all good.
Sure, absolutely.
But anyway, so I see this guy sitting out there, and he's looking at us like this, and he's like... And at that time, we started using this sound man, George Marshall, who was, to me, the best sound man around. Although he just moved out to Vegas, he got a good job out there. So I'm doing all the talking anyhow. But anyway,
yeah, people are loving it. People are loving your stories.
Okay, well, this is a true story. This is how Wondrous Story started. So Tommy Williams is. George Marshall tells me this guy's really good, and he'd love to sit in with you guys. So he starts sitting in, and all of a sudden I'm like, this guy's really good. And he's sitting in with us for about 6 months, something. And George Marshall comes up to me, and he said, Tommy, when I mentioned this to Tommy, he goes, oh, really? Did George say that? But George really did say this. He goes, I bet you Tommy Williams would really like to join your band. And I went, that's a good idea, because this guy added another dimension that was like we could all switch off on basses and guitars, and we could do different stuff, and whoever played the bass better on this one, or whoever knew something else on this. So all of a sudden, we become a much more versatile band, and Tommy is great. Tommy plays with the band The Hooters now.
Oh, okay.
If you know the 80s band.
Yeah, and we danced and...
Yeah.
Holy Moses? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's Eric Bazillion.
Right.
Eric Bazillion, by the way, who Tommy goes out on tour with them now. Tommy is the newest member, the only, I think, other member of the Hooters that ever joined the band, because Tommy's a nut. He learns everything to the T. He really does. But anyway, in fact, Eric Bazillion wrote a song that he could probably live off for the rest of his life.
One of us, right?
One of us. That's right. You do.
Yeah, I know my stuff.
You know your stuff.
We just talked about it on the radio show. We played it, and then we played the Prince version. Did you ever hear Prince do that song?
Yeah.
Prince recorded that.
Anyway, so
that's
so then I got all these guys who were like really good ears. So we just start going out and playing songs, and after a while, I mean, we played a lot of prog stuff, and after a while, we were just trying stuff. We just were trying stuff, and we never rehearsed.
Wow.
And the only time we've ever rehearsed was when we had to bring in horn sections and background singing. We had to, otherwise that would be a train wreck.
Of course.
Because nobody would know what they're doing.
Right.
But anyway,
I'm shocked to hear all this, actually, because you guys were, maybe because you're the only ones doing that kind of thing in this area at that time, because you guys
we were the only
big.
ones.
You're talking 97, you guys were already well known at that point. Maybe that's why I assumed you were around for such a long time before that.
The scene was not like it is now. Now we're one of the bands, I'm hoping we're still one of the better bands, but there's a lot of good bands out there now. We were one of the only games in town that were playing like heavy duty stuff at that time,
right?
And we drew real well,
you sure
and
did.
we still drew pretty good at times,
Yeah.
There are a couple of bands who's got some real, great things going on that, I'm not going to say we're the, I'd never say we're the best because that's all in the ear of a person, I think we're one of the better bands around, but, there are people who probably even draw more than us. They're either a tribute band or a band that has some kind of real theme. People love themes and tributes. We're not that.
Right, which is one of the things I'm happy about personally. I feel the tribute band thing is just so oversaturated.
Well, yeah, a little, but I never argue with success. If somebody's doing something well, how can I say?
Well, yeah, I'll give you that, but I enjoyed going to see a band, and nothing against tribute bands. I love Del Judas and Big Shot. Love David Clark.
I sat on what Mike Del Judas said is Mr. Clean in a fantastic
Oh,
skit
did you really?
a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago.
we were there.
Oh yeah.
Was I there? Well,
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
were
I said
there?
hi to you that day.
Oh,
Did you
okay.
really?
And they have another one coming up next week, I think.
We
it
were
is.
just talking
No, I
about
think it's
that, like,
tomorrow
an
on
hour
KJ
ago.
Farrell's.
Oh, it's tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Oh, I thought it was next
See,
Wednesday.
plug for Mike Del Judas.
Oh, I thought it was next week. Oh, shit, it's tomorrow.
No,
Kenny Sino.
It's Wednesday.
Kenny
I have a hard time with
Um,
Wednesdays.
Yeah, because but that's I guess maybe that's one thing I don't like about the tribute bands, because you go and like you said, there's either a theme or they're playing one person's music. That you don't get the variety that you would get at a Wonder Stories gig, and a lot of that is not dead but gone.
I only got up to Chris Clark in 2005, I think. 2005 or 2006, I can't remember. But Chris Clark was doing 3 Broadway shows.
Wow.
Excuse me. And life gets in the way sometimes, and he was on the way out. So Mark Bonder was around, and Kenny Friedman was around, but he was so busy with his band, and I was lucky to have a couple of really good keyboard players that were around. Kenny was still subbing, but his availability wasn't as good as Mark Bonder's,
Right.
and Mark Bonder's a great keyboard player. And Mark Bonder has come a long way and learned a lot of stuff. So we started playing with Mark Bonder on keyboards. And since Mark has been singing a lot better, his singing has gotten a lot better.
Okay.
He's a lot better singer than he ever was, because I throw songs at him, and he's doing real well. And he's got a higher range than probably anybody in the band. Ricky Martinez, our drummer, who was the drummer for Sesame Street for many, many years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, all these clips you hear on Sesame Street, and you see Animal playing the drums and everything. That's Ricky Martinez playing. Yeah,
Wow.
That's Ricky.
Wow.
One thing I got to say about our band, this is really weird because some people don't know what to do with us. We're not a tribute band, and we don't really have a theme. But we've been keeping, on our Wondrous Stories notes page, we've been keeping the set list. We don't come in with a set list.
Right.
Mark Bonder on his keyboard, he writes the songs down as we go along. And for the past 7 years, the set list has never been the same. You'll see some reruns going on here.
Yeah, of course.
And sometimes you'll even see a few gigs in a row with no reruns at all. And these are 3 and 4 hour gigs.
Right.
So our repertoire has really gotten big. I will never say we're the best band, because like I said, it's all in the ear of a person. But I think we might have the biggest repertoire out of any band on the.
Well, and I think too, another reason why you may have gotten big locally as quickly as you did, because again, leading up to tribute bands, but you guys were, at least to my knowledge, the first to do the whole album of Sgt. Pepper. You were definitely the first to, because I remember it like it was yesterday, hearing, oh, this band is going to do Tommy. Like that was like a big deal to music fans. There's a band doing Tommy? How do I get to see this?
Sgt. Pepper and Tommy were two albums when I was a real little kid. That freaked me out when I was a kid. But I got a funny story about Sgt. Pepper. I think it was the year either 1999 or 2000. It was right by there. And the Fab Four had started up. And to me, the Fab Four, which Tommy Williams has been a sub in that band.
Oh, wow.
He's that good. Right. Tommy Williams is that good. They might be the best Beatles band in the world. They might be. Yeah. Some people don't like it because they don't wear the wigs and all that, but they do every little nuance.
Note by note. Right.
But I got to know Rich Pagano a little bit. And Rich, if you're watching this, I don't know if you remember this, but this is God's honest true story. And not that the Fab Four couldn't do this, but when I met him at Rich Pagano at Madison Square Garden at a concert, and it was before the show, and it hadn't filled in yet. We were both there early. And he said to me, so how's your band doing? I said, oh, we're doing good. I said, you guys are amazing. I said, you do all this Beatles stuff. I said, but believe it or not, and this was before it became popular, I said, next month, this month, I said, we're doing the entire Sgt. Pepper album from beginning to end. And he went, the entire thing in order? And I said, yes. And he goes, wow, that's cool. Next thing I know, I see in the Village Voice, Fab Four doing the entire Abbey Road album from beginning to end.
Bastards.
No,
I'm kidding.
And now they have classic albums all over the place. Right. I mean, all of a sudden it became a thing, but I don't remember anybody else doing that.
Right.
And I did that, and Rich, whether you remember it or not, I don't know, but I swear to God that happened. that really happened. But the funny thing, like I say, some places don't want to hire us because they don't know how to label us. Now, a weird thing happened. We played an AM/FM show. We played a bunch of them with 45 RPM. Yep. We play the FM stuff. They play the AM stuff. Now, for this last one we did in October at the Space at Westbury, we did really heavy prog stuff that night. We never usually do it that heavy. But we had gotten our old keyboard player back to play with us. It's the first real gig he played with us in a long time. So I said, I want to do the song Close to the Edge. I want to do Carnival 9, Welcome Back. I want to do the whole suite, all this stuff. Genesis, Watcher of the Skies. Wow. We did all this stuff. So I meet this girl at Beatlefest, and this is what she says to me. She goes, I've seen your band a lot of times, and I love you guys. She goes, I went to the AM/FM show, and I hate to say this, but you were terrible. Yeah, no, this is what she says to me. And I go, really? I said, we were terrible. She goes, yeah, you were doing this Yes and Ozzy Osbourne. I said, no, we didn't do any Ozzy Osbourne. She said, yeah, you did Ozzy Osbourne. I'm like, no, we didn't do Ozzy Osbourne. I said, yes, we did.
Know, I think.
Yes, I said, we played it bad or oh no, you didn't play it bad. I just don't like that music. So, it's like, no, so she was like, no, but I love when you guys do the Beatles and the Who and stuff like that. But, she didn't like Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So I was like, okay, so we didn't play it bad. No, but she goes, but I liked when you did the Monkees, as a goof. So now my point being, when we played a couple of Monkey songs just to be funny in there, and they played Come Sail Away. They were a little heavier than usual, and they did something like that. So after the show, a friend comes on to me, goes, I love that you did Close to the Edge, and I love that you did Carnival 9. He goes, why did you play the Monkees? So this just goes to show that when you're a band that plays so much stuff, you might have somebody that saw you do something that they love. In fact, this has happened. They loved what you did one week, and they go, you didn't play Jackson Browne this week, and I'm like, no, we didn't. Oh, well, I came back to hear that because I heard you do it last time.
Which is so funny because with so many concerts, sometimes you see a band that is your favorite and you get a little tired of the same songs all the time. So here you do this beautiful work of so many different songs, and you
But-
just can't ever make anyone happy.
But it's almost like being a big Billy Joel fan. We talk to other Billy Joel fans, and a lot of them will complain that when they go see him at the Garden every month, that it's always the same set list. It's all the greatest hits.
I have a little bit of that complaint.
Oh, absolutely. But
yeah. Because I always say, because I like Billy Joel a lot.
Yeah,
I don't care what anybody says. Some people, oh yeah, get over it, Billy Joel. Yeah, there's a few songs I probably never want to hear again. Friday night, I don't really want to hear that
just
song.
because being sick of it, not because
it's
it's not a good song.
No, it's a great song.
Right,
but I always said to myself, I'd love to just talk to Billy Joel and say, can I pick your set list one night?
Absolutely.
But that's never going to happen.
But that's the same thing as you're saying. This woman, she didn't want to hear the Carnival #9. She didn't want to hear.
Yeah, I said we played it terrible. Oh no, you didn't play it terrible. I didn't like that song.
Right. It's that audience that will go see you because they want to hear the Monkees and they want to hear Sgt. Pepper. Just like at the Garden, most people unfortunately are seeing Billy for the first time, or they're tourists coming to New York City catching a Billy Joel show. So he feels the pressure of having to play the same greatest hits over and over. So it's almost the same thing that these people, unfortunately, don't know you guys well enough to just go and hope for a little Genesis, a little Yes, maybe some Monkees mixed in. Where a guy like me who likes deep tracks, I would love that. But this woman,
when we first started keeping our set lists, which are on our notes page on Wonder Stories, if you look through the thing, you'll see all these wacky songs. I mean, but somebody just was great. They wrote a couple of years back, how do you go from Court of the Crimson King into Wichita Lineman from Glenn Campbell?
I would love that.
See what I mean?
That's
so
cool.
that's the weirdness of our band. But we have taken up a residency pretty much at KJ Farrell's on Wednesday nights, except when we play there once per month during the weekend. Then like tomorrow, this Saturday we're playing at KJ Farrell's. So this Wednesday, Mr. Clean and the Fantastics, Mike Del Dudas is playing. They have a different band when we're not playing there once a month.
I see.
And
that's WonderStories.com. Is that?
And it's become like a really cool event for a lot of people.
You're raising your hand.
Yeah, a couple of people have said that they wondered if it could be a bit louder, but I don't know how we can. I don't know how we can change that other than you talking louder. But it doesn't sound any lower than it ever
A couple
is.
of people said that. Maybe I'm mumbling too. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Can we move that closer?
Sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, that's
a
a basic history of Wondrous Stories. So, I mean, a short history or maybe long. I don't know how long I've been rambling on for. Wow. I can ramble sometimes.
But people are loving it, just so you know.
Okay.
So how did because you've had some notable famous musicians come in and play with you. Like I remember, I think it was late 90s, I think it was, where John Entwistle of The Who sat in with you guys. So how did...
No, he didn't sit in with us. My wife Sue and I became friends with him, though. Actually, in 1998, I was at a place right in the back of the Yankee Peddler. They had music, they called it Key West for a while. It was right by where they had the male stripping show.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know where you're from.
So after I would strip... No, I didn't. After all these heated women would get out of the place, it would turn into a rock and roll place. They had a band playing down there. In fact, I think it was Leslie West was playing down there. And I see this guy. I'm standing next to this guy, and I recognize him. I go, I know you from somewhere. Do you play? And he goes, yeah. And I said, who you play with? He goes, well, I play with the John Entwistle band. His name was Godfrey Townsend.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Godfrey Townsend. So that was like the first day I met. I said, I knew I recognized you. I saw you in the city at, I forgot the name of the place, but it was a funky little place. It was a cool place. And I said, it just so happens our band is going to be doing the entire Tommy album. I said, why don't you come down? So it was in Queens, and actually he lives in Queens. So he stopped in. I see him in the place, I see him looking at us. And I had no idea if he liked us or not, but it winds up he did. And he saw our keyboard player, Chris Clark. And, we became friends, and I think he sat in with the band a few times. So then, all of a sudden, he became friends with Chris Clark. Right. I introduced him to Chris, and I said, this is our keyboard player, he's really good. All of a sudden, they asked Chris if he wants to be the keyboard player in the John Entwistle band.
Wow.
Yeah, so So Chris Clark was the last. The Entwistle band went through a couple of keyboard players, and Chris was the last keyboard player for the John Entwistle band. Wow. And I saw them; they were great. So Godfrey, we became very friendly. We liked each other, personally.
Sure.
And he said, I'll let you know when we're, done and where we're going to secretly go to, like a hotel or something like that. So all of a sudden, we started showing up at wherever Godfrey would tell us to go. And John Entwistle was funny and friendly as hell. And I can honestly say I got to know him. Like, he knew me by name when he saw me. I hung out with him probably, I'm not going to say, 100 times, but at least a dozen times, maybe 20 times, maybe. Sure. And, and it was very nice. He was very, very nice to us. We even got drunk with him. Sue and I got drunk with him one night. And John Entwistle would mumble. And so the bartender would go, what? And Sue started translating. and he goes, you're translating for me. And that's not what I said. You're fired. He said, like somebody else says, you're fired.
Yeah, right.
We won't get into that.
Yeah.
No, we won't.
I wonder if you could tell your McCartney story.
But before we do, but did Entwistle ever play with the band or not?
Entwistle did not. Oh, wait a minute.
I know your history better than you.
No, he didn't play with the band. But Godfrey told me this recently. We opened up for them at a place in Bayside, right next door to Blossoms, a place an underground place. What was the name of that freaking place? They called it the Alligator Club for a second, then they called it something else. I can't remember. But we wound up doing like Willis Emerson, like Palmer stuff, and it was really hot. And then Entwistle's band went on. The place was packed. It was like a 100-degree day out, and they couldn't get the place. They couldn't cool it off. It was just, and John Entwistle wore this leather outfit that we were like, how the hell could he even wear that? He must have been numb or something. I don't know. But Godfrey told me this recently. He said, why'd you have to get such a good band to open up for us? Entwistle said to him. So,
that's nice.
Yeah, he was like, they were too fucking good or something.
All right, so a McCartney story? Is that what you said?
People keep bringing it up.
Oh, yeah?
Okay, this is a cool story. I was tipped off. I'm not an autograph seeker. But I was tipped off that McCartney was going to do a signing session at the Virgin Atlantic record store in Times Square. And that if you get there early enough, he's doing the first 400 people. So I got online. I was like number 268 online. I was there hours beforehand, and I wasn't even really feeling good. But anyway, I brought my acoustic guitar to the to the place, and it was raining a little. We were waiting outside. I was there like, what was it, 5, 6 in the morning? So I was there 5, 6 in the morning for a 4 o'clock signing.
How long ago was
So
this?
this was in.
When he was.
Somebody could figure it out. It was right when he was breaking up with Heather. It was like 2009. I don't know, 2010, whatever. But he was breaking it.
Right.
It was in the midst of that where every time you turned on, well, McCartney's being sued again, and and it was like right in the middle of like the court case. He wasn't. In fact, when he walked into the place, he looked old, worn out. He looked completely worn out. So I'm outside playing. I'm the only guy with an acoustic guitar, and I'm underneath this awning. I had my car parked not too far away, and I'm playing, Beatles songs and stuff like that, and everybody's singing along. I figured there would be other people with guitars. No, I was the only guy with an acoustic guitar. Anyway, finally they let us in the morning, and they wrap us around these CD counters, like we're wrapped around like this. The people are all wrapped in rows around this thing, and I'm on there. And we're waiting, McCartney comes in and everybody's, hey, and he's like, thank you. And he looks all worn out. I'm telling you, it took a toll on him. But anyway, I heard people going up to him, I hope you win in court and stuff like that. Meanwhile, you had to buy something and he would sign it for you. And he was there, and I bought 2 things. Most people bought 1. I said, I'm getting 2. I mean, I don't get signatures, but I'll get his signature twice. Yeah, he wound up signing it twice. But anyway, I'm on the line there, and people are like, he's grabbing the stuff from the people, good luck in the court and everything. He's just like, I'm like, why do they keep asking him that? I said, I'm not going to say that to him. I'm not going to say anything about that. So I walk up to him and he grabs my thing and he looks right down and I said, hey, real cocky, hey. And he looks up and I said, you finally got to meet me. I said, you finally got to meet me. And he went like this. I waited 40 years to meet you. And I realized that I didn't know what he meant at first, but I thought about it later, and everybody was like, I waited 40 years to meet you, because it was like 40 years after the Beatles. It might even been, I don't know what year. Somebody could look it up when he was breaking up. 2006?
Fish said it's 2006.
Okay. He was on the line. Stephen Fish was on. Remember that, Stephen? You were on the line with her. But anyway, so he goes, I waited 40 years to meet you. I said, not for nothing. And, I had all of about 20 seconds, which was probably twice as long as everybody else because they were just throwing everybody out. But anyway, he was listening to me. I said, not for nothing, but I was the only guy with an acoustic guitar. And I wound up singing half the Ram album, and which is a McCartney album, and half the Magical Mystery Tour album, and everybody was singing along. And he put out his hands with a smile. He said, thanks for keeping everybody happy. So they threw me off the line. And next, and everybody's like, why was he wagging his finger at you like that? I said, because I said, you finally got to meet me. And that's a true story.
And did he say, hey, you look like me? Did he say?
No, because I had long straggly hair then. I cut it all off. I don't know why everybody says it, but even Denny Lane said it to me. He goes, I said, people are telling me I look like Paul McCartney. And I said, no, I look like Brad Pitt's brother, Stu. Stupid.
And Denny Lane was a member of Wings, who, Paul McCartney's band throughout the 70s, and he joined you guys at the Bangladesh shows. Him and Steve Holley, another former member of Wings.
Yes, and that is a thrill, and your brother played on the show with us, and he said the thrill of the show, which is on videotape, thankfully, was during Band on the Run, and there were three of us doing the acoustic guitar part in the middle, and we all got together, and we had this shit-ass grin on our faces, and Denny Lane's looking at us going, yeah, it's cool. And it's like, Denny Lane is being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this month.
Yeah, this month.
With the Moody Blues. He was the original Moody Blues before they became the Knights in White Satin guys, but he had the first #1 hit for them, Go Now, and he's been singing that with us lately. In fact, Denny Lane will be singing with us again next month, May 26th, used to be called Bar Beach. It's called North Hempstead Beach Park now, and it's the Memorial Day weekend on Saturday. Denny Lane, Steve Holley. Gene Cornish was supposed to play with us from the Rascals, but he got a cease and desist order. We got it from, he can't do it because he's going out as the Rascals, and he's playing within a few months in a certain area, so they wouldn't let him do it. But we're doing the show with them, and there's going to be fireworks after the show, so come up for that one. It's going to be
where is this?
Bar Beach. It used to be called Bar Beach. It's North Hempstead Beach Park in Port Washington, right on the water. Beautiful. We're going to have an extended big band, and we got a bagpipe band up there that's going to do Mull of Kintyre with us.
Nice, that's
I
cool.
I shouldn't have blown that surprise, because that's really cool. Yeah.
I didn't hear it. What'd you say? What?
And sorry about the Brad Pitt joke. That was no, but what I usually do say,
stupid jokes are every week, man.
When somebody,
with teenage boys, we've heard every
but honestly, when somebody says you look like Paul McCartney, I go, yeah, unfortunately, if that's true, not the young Paul McCartney, because then I'd have to go.
Paul McCartney is, guy to look at.
Yeah.
Even now, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a handsome man.
He's 75 or 76 years old.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So we named Denny Lane and Steve Holley, but you've had some other big names too. Yeah. Oh, you got a list.
I wrote some down that I was just the first Bangladesh show we did. We had Eric Bazillion on from the Hooters.
Right. Which we
Tommy,
mentioned.
but Tommy wasn't in the Hooters back then. He had since joined them, and we did Holy Moses and One of Us and We Dance, and a lot of people don't know this about the Hooters. They weren't on the official videotape, I don't think. Maybe they're on it now, a new released one. But they were the first band to open up Live Aid
Oh, yeah, I did not
in
know that.
1985. Was that?
Yeah, 85, yeah.
United States.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
the
the Philly
United
one,
States.
yeah,
the
yeah.
Philly one. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, so okay, yeah, my Uncle Joe Forgione.
Uncle Joe.
Uncle Joe, he was in the Soul Survivors. They had a big #1 hit in 1967. You're too young.
I am.
Doom, 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 doom. I've been trying to get to you
Oh, sure.
for a long time.
Mhm.
Billy Joel did that song recently at one of his shows. Expressway to Your Heart. Big,
I saw
big
Springsteen
hit.
do that once.
Springsteen did it too. Yes.
I saw him at the
and that
Coliseum
was
do that
my
song.
uncle was the drummer and the highest harmony in that song.
No kidding.
And Charlie and Richie Ingrid, the two main lead singers of that band, has played with us also. In fact, they did a tribute to my uncle because my uncle, in 2003, passed away playing music on stage.
No kidding.
He was 59 years old.
Wow.
And he was doing, ironically, a tribute to Robert Palmer, who had just passed away.
Right.
And
One of my favorites.
and the
actually.
band told me that he did a drum solo that was not like planned, and he had a big smile on his face, and they were like, "Okay, go ahead, do a little drum solo." So, and they said he crashed the cymbals and died of a heart attack right there on the stage,
Oh,
which is like a Hollywood ending.
That was Boston's drummer, the same thing. The original
On the
Boston drummer,
stage.
Sib, whatever.
Oh my
his name.
God!
Just a few years ago, they were doing a cruise. Same exact thing. Did it,
Well,
playing around.
I mean, if that, they said he had a smile on his face at the end, so I guess it's a good way to go. He
Absolutely.
might have freaked out the audience a little, I
And
would
it's
say.
really young too. I mean, it's
59,
Yeah.
yeah, it really was. But,
Wow.
so on our second Bangladesh show, we had Randy Jackson of Zebra,
Nice.
which luckily, Randy had asked Wondrous Stories to open up for them at the Westbury Music Fair, and it was really, really a cool gig.
That's cool.
We had guys from the Vanilla Fudge, Carmine Appice and Vince Martell.
That's
And
cool.
Carmine Appice, of course, played
With
on
everybody.
all the hits, for Rod Stewart, all his main
Right.
hits.
Him
you
and
know.
his brother
Yeah,
played
we got
pretty
to
much
play
on
with
every
him.
song. Yeah.
A thrill for Sue and I was the night before the Bangladesh show in 2011. Joey Molland from
Badfinger.
Badfinger flew in and stayed at our house. We wound
Really?
up, we wound up drinking some beers and watching. I said, "Who are your favorite bands?" I said, "I have a video collection that won't quit and a nice big TV and all that." And he goes, "I like Led Zeppelin and Elvis Presley." And he goes, and I was at the Earl's Court concert, the famous thing.
Yeah.
I said, I had the Earl's Court one
Yeah.
on tape. He goes, really? He goes, can you put that on? So I put that on. So Joey Molland and I were watching Elvis Presley clips and a Led Zeppelin concert from the 70s that Joey Molland was at in England.
That's cool.
And then we did a whole Badfinger set with him, and that was
That's
maybe
good stuff, man.
that was sentimentally it was my favorite Bangladesh show, the 2011 one. It was sentimentally the best. I'm not sure if it was really the best, but because Joey stayed at our house and then we got to do the gig with him, and because the Charlie and Richie, the lead singers of Soul Survivors, did a tribute to my uncle during the show. So
Sure.
that meant a lot to
Of
me.
course.
And Carmine Appice was there, and my father's brother, Uncle Joe, was friends with Carmine. So Carmine played drums on Expressway to Your Heart with us.
Nice.
It was really
That's
cool.
A very, very underrated band, Badfinger. Not enough people know them. And
Okay.
he's the only one left, right? Joey Molland? He's the only one from Badfinger left, right?
Yeah, he is. They all passed away. Two of them committed suicide.
Oh, right, yeah.
Sheesh.
Crazy.
Crazy. They had a tough story.
Michael Garone would like to know if you would ever cover the last waltz.
The whole concert? That is a concert. I'm going to say I tend to doubt it. I don't count out anything, but maybe we'll do a tribute to it and do a bunch of songs from it. That could definitely happen. I think that could happen tomorrow. That we could do a bunch of songs from that show. Just do them all in one. Be a tribute to that show.
Nice.
Great movie.
Denny Lane, Steve Holly, and Mark Hudson. Mark Hudson played with Ringo.
Multicolored.
He was
Stuff on his face.
He played with us. We had a good time with him. In fact, he played. We did a Rascal set with Gene Cornish, and it was one of the thrills for me because in the '60s that was one of my favorite bands.
Oh,
I
great
loved
band.
the Rascals. I really
Absolutely.
did. So I got to sing "How Can I Be Sure" with them and sing
Nice.
some of the harmonies on the. Let's see who else. Marshall Crenshaw. We did a set with Marshall Crenshaw.
Yeah.
It was excellent. And my wife Sue learned the harmonies with some other people. It was really, really cool. And Marshall Crenshaw, I remember him not knowing what to expect because we didn't rehearse with him. And he just turned around and smiled like, wow, that's cool, because we really, we were doing it right. Godfrey Townsend and John Montagna. John Anderson.
Oh, really? John Anderson?
Yes. Well, I got to open for him twice. But should I tell him the story? Oh, God. Before I met all of the Yes players, and in fact, I met Rick Wakeman, great keyboard player, and funny guy.
If you're a music person, you got to check out Yes's induction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Rick Wakeman's speech is just, you're not going to believe it. It's hysterical.
Well, he's a stand-up comedian.
I did not know that. Well, it makes sense because this speech is...
Yes, he's a great keyboard
It's like
player,
watching Bob Uecker talk about baseball. It's really up there along the...
I met him a bunch of times, and a couple of times I said, you might remember, you might not remember, but I played with the band Wondrous Stories. He goes, oh, yeah, you told me that a few times before. So, he didn't really know me, but I got to meet him a few times. Anyway, I got to open for John Anderson, and I think it was 2008 and 2009 or 2007, 2008 at B.B. King's in Manhattan. And first time I went up as a solo, and I had Kevin sit in with me. Second time I had Kevin sit in with me and Mark Bonder come on, and we did like a trio. But he played. But before that, I had met all the players in Yes, but I had never met John Anderson. So he was playing B.B. King's, and I wasn't opening this time. This was about in 2005, 2006. And I'm not a wine drinker. So, but this night, I happened to be sitting there watching the show, and he had a meet and greet afterwards. So I'm drinking this wine. I got one glass of wine that I'm nurturing and nursing for the whole time because I drink a glass of wine here and there now, definitely more than that. But anyway, so what I didn't realize what I was doing, I kind of liked the taste of it, but I didn't like to swallow like big mouthfuls of it. So I kind of like kept it against my mouth the whole time, not realizing what was happening to my teeth. So I woke up to John Anderson. It was kind of darkish. I'm hoping he didn't see it, but my daughter clued me in later, and I was mortified. But anyway, like I said, I had this glass of purple wine against my teeth the whole time, and so I'm real excited. I said, John, my name is Kenny. I said, I love your music, just like everybody else is saying. I said, I just got to tell you, I play in a band called Wondrous Stories. And, we play a lot of this stuff. And he goes, oh, thanks for keeping the music alive. And I have this wide grin from ear to ear. And I said, thanks, man. I won't take up too much of your time. So my daughter says to me, Dad, your teeth are purple. And I went, what? So I go into the bathroom, and I look at my teeth, and I said, son of a bitch. I'm like, you son of a... Oh, my God. He must have looked at me and said, ugh. And I never drink wine, so
But he'll remember you. You're saying, I'm Kenny, I'm purple teeth guy?
I did tell him to him. I said, I met you a few years ago when I opened up for him. And I hung out with him a little backstage, and he was very, very nice. And I said, I met you, and I told you I was in a band, Wondrous Stories, and my teeth were purple, and I didn't know it. My daughter told me, and I was freaked out. And he goes, well, I don't really remember it, so you're okay. But but I do remember me, Kevin, and Mark getting a sound check, and we're doing "I Am the Walrus," and Mark has the keyboard parts down great, and I hopefully I sing it pretty well because I like to sing that one, and maybe it shows. And it was one of the songs we were playing that night. And John Anderson is in his dressing room, and he comes running out like a track runner and just looks at us and goes, "Wow!" And he's just looking, and so later on after our sound check, I go backstage. He goes, "That was amazing." He goes, "That was great." He goes, "I Am the Walrus." He goes, I said, "I saw you run out." He goes, "I had to see if that was who that was, what that was." So that was kind of cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me see if anybody else. Oh, Dave Kilminster. Dave Kilminster is the guitar player for. Am I running out of time? I probably am.
You're fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Dave
So many
Kilminster.
people are loving this. People are just even saying things like, "I'm just so happy I'm sitting here watching this."
Oh, good, cool,
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not boring. Yeah, I'm
No,
sure some
you're
people
not
are like,
at all.
I don't care. But that's all right. So that's all right. But you know, some people, I don't care.
It's actually killing me. I know that name. Who is that?
Dave Kilminster is the guitar player that played on top of the wall for Roger Waters' famous The Wall concert, which toured the world for years.
I saw it.
Sold out
Fantastic.
gigantic. Oh my God, how good was that? Well, he's the great guitar player in the band. There's few guitar players, but he's the one
G.E.
that
Smith
stands
was
out.
there.
G.E. Smith, but this is the guy who stands out.
Okay.
He was in Keith Emerson's band too, Dave Kilminster. Dave, if you're watching, I doubt it, but you know, hello. But anyway, his publicist was this girl, Ellie Schwartz, and she was also the publicist for Greg Lake, rest his soul, and a few other people. And she got a call from England. They were in between tours, the Wall tour, and this was 2010, I think, or 2011.
Right, yeah. It came out in
2011.
10, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was 2011. So she got a call from him saying, you know, I want to play in the United States. I have this really cool duo, but over here in England, I don't know, people aren't interested or anything.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody that plays music like that, you know, that would know me a little? Or she goes, yeah, I know a band that plays music like that. Maybe we can kind of latch on to and do our thing and maybe, you know, get this known. So Murray, I forgot his last name. He was a real good singer. Winds up, I get to meet Dave Kilminster. Sweetheart of a guy.
Yeah.
Killer guitar player. Very modest. He's like, oh, there's a lot of people better than me. I'm like, there's a lot of people, you get the best guy, there's somebody better than him. I said, you're great, man. You're fucking
absolutely.
unbelievable. Don't be so modest. But anyway, so he gets to play with us at B.B. King's one gig and at KJ Farrell's one gig. I get him in there to play. I mean, the place is mobbed. I mean, it's like, forget it. And B.B. King's was cool, too. It winds up, though, when he flew over, he got the flu. And half of our band, including me, had the flu, too.
Jeez.
So it was really hard. I mean, we got through it because our adrenaline got us through it.
Yeah.
But I got to play with Dave Kilminster. He did his act. Then One of his stories came on, and he agreed to come up and sit in with the band. And it was tremendous. What was it?
Murray
Hockridge. Yeah.
That's
Murray
from
Hockridge.
Bob Manton.
Yeah, Murray Hockridge. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. But anyway, we wind up doing these gigs, and we became very friendly during that week that we were together, and I was with him a couple of times. We had dinner with him, and he says to Sue and I, he goes, you know, if you're ever in Europe, when we're doing the tour, we're going over in Europe. We're going to do it for a long time over there in Europe. He says, you know, get in touch with me, and I'll get you in.
Nice.
So, you know, I started off with a Cat Stevens song tonight, and Cat Stevens has started in here too a little bit. In fact, yeah, I didn't really sing it that well. I had just gotten done eating a big meal, and I didn't sing it that well. No, I didn't sing it I didn't sing it that well. Not as well as I can. But anyway, so Sue and I, who had been together, we met each other in '99. We got married in 2011, and we go, where do you want to go for your honeymoon? She goes, Paris. I said, Roger Waters is playing in Paris. Let's get married on this day, and we'll get in touch with him and see if he'll get us in. Sure enough, we get in touch with him. He goes, I'll get you in.
Wow.
So she's working as a full-time nurse at the time, and she goes, she says, I got to get days off. So she gets these days off. So we get in. We were planning to get in 2 days, 2 or 3 days before the concert.
Okay.
And so then I'm looking at the same place that we're going to see the show, and I see 3 days before that, Cat Stevens is playing. We're big Cat Stevens fans. So I said, and there was still some tickets left. I said, Sue, you got to get another day off. We got to go in a day earlier. And she goes, I don't know if I can. I said, you better get that day off. I'm buying tickets. So I went and bought tickets. So we wound up seeing Cat Stevens over there in Paris, and we went. That one I had to pay for, but at the same place, the Palais des Sports, the Bercy, Bercy in Paris, nice big venue. We see Roger Waters, And we get to the show early. He gets us in backstage. He goes, "You want to visit the stage? I'll show you all the guitars and everything." So I'm walking around.
Oh man!
I'm walking around. I said, "I was, is that what you play Vera on?" And he goes, "Yeah, you want to play that guitar?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And meanwhile, I have this video camera, and I started. It was when people just started coming in, so there was like a good 100, 200 people standing in front of the stage, and I start pointing the camera at them, and they think we're doing a documentary. He's like, "Yeah." No, monsieur, no, we're not, no documentary. No, so I'm like a little kid. He goes, "You're like a little kid in the candy store." I said, "Yeah." So Sue grabbed the camera and she videoed me, and I'm playing the guitars on the stage for the wall and everything. I'm like, "Yeah, cool." So we got to meet most of the band except for Roger Waters. I said, "There's no way to meet Roger Waters, right?" He goes, "No." He goes, "Roger Waters, to calm down before a show, plays cards, and if you're not in the card game, you're not going to see him before the show."
No kidding! Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, whatever people do.
Yeah,
so,
true.
That's the story, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
But it is funny that you mentioned that he wanted to come here to play because there wasn't enough interest there.
Yeah.
We have a friend in England, Elio Pace. He's been on the show too. He's kind of known a little bit in England, a piano player, and he tells me that all the time. We're so into the Beatles here and the British bands, the Who, the Stones.
They're not into that.
He said it's not as big of a deal. Elvis is a big deal. Glenn Campbell, Tom Jones, they're the big guys over there. Meanwhile, and they're all American. Tom Jones isn't, but
there's still a lot of people over there in Britain that
but
love the Beatles. But like
it's not
when
like
the Clash came out, British Beatlemania has bitten the dust.
Right.
They were writing them off back then, a whole bunch of them. But
right.
But meanwhile, in retrospect and nostalgia-wise, the Beatles are still real big over there. And here and everywhere.
Well, true. Here, there, and everywhere. That was good.
That wasn't on purpose.
See how he tied them all together? See how he did that?
And actually, when we went to England almost 2 years ago to see our friend Elio, but he was also playing a special charity show in Scotland at the big golf course. I forget, St. Andrews.
St. Andrews.
And it's a big time event.
It was a fundraiser.
It's a charity event. Yeah, all the top golfers are there, and I don't know golf to say much. I don't know half these people were, but Elio was playing the event. He was playing with his band, but because it's a special gig, high profile gig, he had Huey Lewis was there, Tico Torres, a drummer from Bon Jovi. But
Huey Lewis is good. Yeah,
Huey Lewis is great. He's a great singer. I mean, he's had some of those, corny 80s hits, but he's had some great...
Stuck With You, I could do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am happy to be stuck with you.
But that Four Chords several years ago, that covers album that they did back in '94...
I don't really know it. It's really good.
Best version of Good Morning Little Schoolgirl you'll ever hear.
Not better than Johnny Winter live.
It's right up there. I'm telling you, it's right there.
Johnny Winter kill that.
Bet you $1. You'll love it. All right, we're on. So, but the big...
He doesn't even give me barnyard animals. He's going to give me $1. I don't trust him.
$1.
But here's the best part for you. Also there was Mike Rutherford.
I love Mike Rutherford.
I was in heaven. I couldn't believe that. That's probably the closest.
Are you a Genesis fan?
I'm a huge Genesis fan.
You're not
huge.
that big.
Well, hey, that's a matter of opinion. Yeah, heavily into Genesis. All eras, all types.
Well, it wasn't just there. He played.
Well, yeah, he played. They
so
played
really
I Can't Dance, but yeah, he...
And it was just in a little ball.
That's not what I want to hear from him. If I want to hear him...
Well, yes, but I actually predicted that Elio, who was playing the gig, who was in charge of the gig, he actually came to me. He didn't know Genesis. And he said, "What song should I learn?" I said, "I guarantee Rutherford's going to say, All I Need Is a Miracle and I Can't Dance." Sure enough, he met with him to go over. All he asked for was I Can't Dance. He asked for the one song. So luckily... Elio had started to learn it already.
Mike Rutherford has put out some of the greatest music that I love in my life.
Me too.
The early stuff, from the 70s especially, and in the early 80s too. But, I don't begrudge him because I Can't Dance made him millions.
Absolutely.
So...
It was actually funny.
Can't argue with success.
I was talking with him after the show, and they had done...
I heard he's a nice guy.
He's a really nice guy, but he didn't get my humor. He was talking about when the show was over how hard it was to play, just playing rhythm guitar on Power of Love with Huey Lewis.
Yeah.
Which actually was kind of cool too. It was the first time the two of these guys ever met. Which I know I
That's
sound like a geek, but that was cool for me.
That's cool.
But he was complaining how hard it was for him to play that song, and I went right to him. I said, "You're telling me the bass lines that you've played, some of the songs that you guys put out in the early '70s, and you're having a hard time with Power of Love?" He was like, "Oh, well, it was the first time I ever played the song." I was joking, and I said to him, "Mr. Rutherford, I'm only joking with you." He, totally, he was very serious about it. I felt like a dick, so I walked away.
Oh.
but I knew you'd appreciate that as a big Genesis fan.
Yeah.
So all right. So that was wow. You got a lot. This was great. I just got to sit back and just taking a lot of information.
I wrote down just a few things.
No one's ever came with notes before.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah,
It's
Eddie
names,
Murphy.
except the one thing that I just. This is just in the '80s. I was friends with top boxers in the world.
Oh.
The Ayala brothers. I don't know, Tony Ayala and Mike Ayala, who I'm still friends with. Mike Ayala. Tony has passed since, and Jerry Cooney.
Oh,
Jerry
sure.
Cooney.
He was a Long Island guy.
Yeah, Mike Ayala was the #1 featherweight contender in the world, fought for the championship, was the North American champion for like 6 years, 7 years in a row. He lost for the title on television in the Ring Magazine's Bout of the Year. But anyway, and he taught me how to box, and I used to. But anyway, I got to sing the national anthem with him and Jerry Cooney. Jerry Cooney doesn't know me anymore, but he met me a few times for sure back then. But one story that is just, every time I think about it, I'm like, oh my God. So there's 10,000 people in this arena, and I'm getting to sing the national anthem.
Nice.
So I'm ready to go. They said you got about 10 minutes. So this one guy comes up and says, "Hey, don't forget the words." And I went,
Yeah, the kiss of death.
And I went, what? I wasn't nervous, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm going to forget the words.
You're Enrico Palazzo.
No, this guy screwed me up. So I wound up, I said, I'll be right back. And I tore a piece of paper off, and I put a little piece of paper with key words on the paper. And I was just going to, in case I had to.
Sure.
I knew the words, but like I swear to God, it freaked me out. I mean, I was freaking out. And I get into the ring, and I'm singing, nightclub singer. It was in San Antonio, Texas, at the Joe and Harry Freeman Coliseum in San Antonio, Texas. I remember it. And singing the national anthem, nightclub singer from New York, Kenny Forgione. Yay! Well, all of a sudden, I'm like feeling okay because I got this thing in my hand. The lights go completely off. I cannot see a thing. I cannot see a thing. And I'm like, holy shit, what's the first word? And then all of a sudden, one spotlight came on me. And I looked down and I saw that I could see the words. And I went, oh, God. And then I looked, and then I started singing. I didn't need to look at it once. But like, that guy freaked me out. And I thought I was going to forget the words. Bizarre.
Enrico, yeah, that's what I said. Enrico Palazzo. Nobody got that?
Oh, yeah.
Naked Gun, when he forgets all the words?
Yeah.
Robert Goulet.
In the air.
Robert, oh yeah.
Robert Goulet was in, I think, the second or the third one, yeah.
One woman they show, there's these blooper clips.
Yeah.
All the ramrods we watch. Yeah.
What do you want? He was a Canadian.
Yeah, true.
No, that one wasn't good.
But I see you have Eddie Murphy on there. What's your Eddie Murphy story?
Oh, well, Rob Bartlett too. Rob Bartlett.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even see that. Okay.
Yeah, well.
Comedy guys, yeah.
Yep. We were playing at the Comedy Cellar, which later became, I think, the Alligator Alley, which we played with John Etzel's. Anyway, me and Kevin, as a duo, were the very first duo to ever play music at this place. It became, I think it was Jimmy's Comedy Alley in Queens.
Oh, sure.
I don't know if you remember that.
I remember the name. I was never there.
So Rob Bartlett opened up for us.
Wow.
And meanwhile, I had been seeing Rob, this was in the late 80s. I had been seeing Rob Bartlett with Eddie Murphy right before, at the Rainy Night House. You might know about this place in Queens.
No.
It was a popular comedy club, and Rob Bartlett and Eddie Murphy used to play, and it was right before Eddie Murphy became famous.
Okay.
So Rob Bartlett was very funny. He later went on with Imus and all this
yeah.
stuff. And of course Eddie Murphy went on to Saturday Night Live and all those movies and everything. But we opened up for, he opened up for us. And then, but beforehand, we were talking to him, and I said, I used to see you and Eddie Murphy at the Rainy Night House, and he goes, yeah. And I said, I remember one night that before you came on, Eddie Murphy, I saw them a bunch of times, so I knew some of their routines.
Right.
And Eddie Murphy started exactly doing Rob Bartlett's routines. He was imitating Rob Bartlett. And Rob Bartlett was standing next to the kitchen, you know, patting his foot, going... And Eddie Murphy's doing his routines and laughing, like you know, he's doing your routines. And I said, and I remember you used to do Mr. Rogers. I said, Rob, you used to do the Mr. Rogers routine. He goes, Eddie Murphy stole that from me. And he goes, yeah, and that's when he started doing that on
Saturday Night Live.
On Saturday Night Live. And he never gave me credit for that. He never gave that was my routine. And I said, I was there one night when he was doing your whole routine. He goes, I remember that night.
Wow.
You know? And Eddie Murphy one night, we went in there, he was doing, this was before he became famous, there were about 6 of us in the place. It was me, my ex-wife, and my friend and his ex-girlfriend. And there was like 2 other people, and there was a snowstorm going on. And Eddie Murphy's on the stage, and he's like, you guys are the only ones here. I'm entertaining you guys. He goes, you guys are all white, I'm black. If another white person comes walking into the room, start cursing at me and call me nigger and stuff. There's Eddie Murphy saying this stuff. You know, he's like, you fucking nigger. We're gonna kick your ass. And like, you know, we're like, really? Do you really want to see? He goes, yeah, I'd love you to do that. And I'll act like I'm scared and all this stuff. And it was snowing out. There was a snowstorm. Nobody else walked in the door. He's like, oh, well, it didn't happen. But that's a true story.
That would have been great.
Oh, God. You know, but that's true. He said that to us.
Wow.
Anyway.
Unfortunately, you hear a lot of that with the guys stealing each other's material. I've heard that about several popular...
Now I'm going to get sued now, right?
Yeah,
I'm going to get sued, but this is truth, though. If Rob Bartlett gets a hold of this, somebody might know Rob, and they say, Rob...
Well, if it makes you feel better, one time I saw McCartney. This was 92 93 at Giant Stadium. I had a little...
And he looked just like me.
That's right. I said, Kenny Forgione up there. Where's McCartney? And I had connections at Ticketmaster at the time, so I had, like, I don't know, 10th row center. I was right there. And Eddie Murphy was behind me. He had worse seats. So I actually, at one point, was like, I got better seats than you. That's my Eddie Murphy story. All right, so...
I was seeing the Rolling Stones, and this is one time I could actually say I was a freaking schmuck. I try not to be a schmuck. Sometimes I am. This time, I really was a schmuck. I was sitting watching the Stones at Shea Stadium.
Oh, wow.
And it was 1989. In fact, our friend Arno Hecht, who plays with everybody's sax player, was playing on the stage that night. So I turn around and I go, right behind me, I said to the guy next to me, I said, that looks like Bill Murray behind us. He goes, that is Bill Murray. So I was freaked out and I was excited. And I started, you know, hey, look, it's Bill Murray. And I guess I shouldn't have done that. I started telling a few people, Bill Murray sitting right behind him. And next thing I know, a little while later, he was with his son or something. I don't think anybody really bothered him, but I guess he kind of saw I did that, and he was gone.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, I'm a schmuck.
Oh, we all have those.
Freaking schmuck.
We have those moments.
No,
We all do that.
I shouldn't have done that.
I've told it here before. I'll tell you my Eddie Van Halen story. I went to see Van Halen. I had gotten backstage passes from the opening act. The opening act was a band called Our Lady Peace. I don't know if they were an alternative band. But they were opening Van Halen. This is at Jones Beach in '95, the last time when Sammy was a permanent member of the band. It was his last tour with them. Had backstage passes, so and I'm sure you probably know when you're at, I don't know if it still has it, but back then, if you had backstage passes, there were these seats were on like risers, and you would go up the stairs on each side of the stage, and they'd be up. So you'd watch the show from the side of the stage up. So I had backstage passes, and I'm a big Van Halen fan, so I'd seen them on this tour before. Sammy goes into his acoustic number, so I'm like, all right, I've seen this before. I love Sammy. I'm actually a Van Hagar fan more than Roth, but I'd seen this enough. Time for the bathroom break. I walk down the stairs. I look to my left, and there's Eddie Van Halen and an older fellow sitting on a bench. And this is, like I said, '95. And I swear to God, nobody else in sight. Just me, Eddie Van Halen, and this other guy. I'm like, holy shit. Now I'm in my early 20s, so my schmuck moment. I look right at him. Instead of just, love your music, thank you.
Yeah.
I pull a picture of one of his guitars out of my pocket. Can you sign this? He's in the middle of a show. You know, it was
he was in the middle.
This was in the middle of the show. This was Sammy Hagar's acoustic moment, so he's just waiting. Yeah, exactly.
Did he sign it?
No. He looks right at me. First, you can see the shock in his face. Like,
Yeah.
where the hell did this guy come from? He looks right at me, leans in, he goes, "You got to get the fuck out of here." So now I just start laughing, talking to nobody. I go, "Eddie Van Halen just cursed at me," and immediately I'm even thinking to myself, "You're an idiot. You're an idiot." But with that, as soon as I said it, all the security guards are coming from all different directions. I put my hands up. I go, "No problem, fellas. No problem. I'm really sorry." And that was it. They left me alone. But here's the kicker.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'll go.
You mentioned Leslie West before. I'm sitting there with Eddie Van Halen. There's a guy on the bench. As you know, Leslie West in his heyday was, the size
Big
of this
dude,
house,
big
the
dude.
big afro and everything. This was just around the time Leslie West had cleaned up and he lost weight. He was, supposedly off. He was sober. That's who the old man was, sitting on the bench. Because at the end of the show, Van Halen goes into Mississippi Queen, and there's Sammy Hagar. "We have a special guest, ladies and gentlemen. Here's Leslie West." And here he comes out and he's singing with. I'm like, "Holy shit!" So it was me, Eddie Van Halen, and Leslie West.
That's great.
Yeah, I
That's
couldn't
great.
believe it. But that's my schmuck moment. So
Leslie West spit on me. My last real quick story. I mean,
he spit on you?
Yeah, well, in the 70s, I fought my way up in St. John's University. I fought my way up to the front of the stage. He was a little crazy back in the day.
Oh, yeah, he was a
It
nut.
was packed. I was sweating. I was a young guy. I fought my way to the front of the stage. As soon as I got up there, Eddie, he didn't do it to me on purpose, like to me,
Right.
but he just did it as an odd thing. He took a swig of something and just went and spit it out. And I had fought my way all the way from the back to get to the front of the stage, and I just went, "You mother!" and I went to the back. I was really pissed. I was like, "Freaking, he spit on me."
Oh, you weren't like Marsha Brady? "I'll never wash this cheek again."
No. But my real fast, I met two Beatles.
You met two Beatles?
I met two Beatles. I met Ringo also.
Really?
Which I was tipped off again. This was after my arrogant McCartney story where I said, "You finally got to meet me." I'm up there with my daughter, and just completely opposite. As soon as I got up to him, I didn't know what to say. I was literally, I went up and I went, like Ralph Cramden. No, and I went, "I love you, Ringo." And he goes like this, "I love you too." And I went, "Oh my God, I just can't believe I met freaking Ringo." And that's what I said to him.
I love that.
And he went like this, "I love you too." So he signs this thing, and I'm like, again, I'm a schmuck. Okay, I'm a schmuck again. Okay, maybe I'm a schmuck a lot more than I know. But anyway, so I start walking out, and I'm like so freaked out about it. And then I go, "Oh my God, I left my signed thing there." So I tell the guy, and he had to buy this thing.
Yeah.
I said, "I left my signed thing up there. I got to go get it." And he goes, and the security guard, you're getting taken out by security guards.
Yeah.
They are protecting these guys.
Yeah.
So he brings me back up there, and I said, "It's gone. It's gone." So the security guard goes to the manager. He had a slip, and he left it up there, and it's gone. And the guy goes, "Get him another slip." It says the slip inside the CD.
Oh, okay.
It was Ringo Rama, by the way.
Oh,
and,
I love that.
Yeah. So anyway, so I get up there, and he signs it again. And this time I said, "Thanks, Ringo," and I shook his hand, and I didn't say "I love you" again. And that's
I
it.
love that story.
That's classic.
Frank wants you to tell the Davy Jones at Westbury story.
We're big Monkey fans, but I admit it. I love the Monkeys.
I like the Monkeys
I
too.
love the Monkeys. I think I'm into double digits with seeing the Monkeys.
I didn't know. I didn't know how good they are until he started
This doesn't slide enough.
showing me like the
I
music.
think that's
But
where
at
Axl
first,
Rose got it from, right?
when
'Cause he
first
dances
Tony was
that.
like, I'm a Monkeys fan, I actually giggled. I thought you were kidding.
No, I
I
wasn't
was like,
kidding.
yeah, you are. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh.
All the albums, bootlegs. I got them all.
So Davy Jones, go ahead.
We went. Frank and I. This is '89. We were seeing the Monkeys at Westbury Music Fair. In fact, this is how bad we were. In 1989, they did an afternoon show and an evening show. We went to both. This is how bad we
You're
were.
89 years a kid.
Yeah, I was 19, 20. I wouldn't do that now, but back then, yeah, I saw the Monkeys twice in one day. And Davey was
great.
singing the song Valerie. He's singing the song Valerie. And, Westbury Music Fair, for those of you who don't know, it's a circular stage, and so it's in the round. So Davey's running around, he's all over the place, and he starts running backwards. So sure enough, because there's no upstage or downstage because it's in the round, he was running backwards, not looking where he was going. He just tumbled right off the stage, flipping going down the steps.
God.
And he tumbles. People are coming from all different directions to check on him.
Yeah.
And so you see his head pop up, and he sees all these people coming different directions. He just fell. He didn't know where he was. He just kind of does one of these. He grabs the mic, and he just screams like a baby. Ah! Like that. I laughed, I think, for 3 days. I just couldn't stop. He got up. It wasn't like a serious thing. We heard later from, Frank knew somebody that was backstage later where he said the guy was complaining he hurt his back or something. But at the time, he got back up, finished the song. So he appeared to be fine. So, if he was really hurt, like he broke his leg or something, I probably wouldn't laugh till years later. But at the time he got up, I'm telling you, at least for the rest of the show, I was crying, so I was laughing.
The McCartney show, The Space Within Us, I have the DVD.
Oh, yeah.
And on there, he falls down.
Oh, that's right.
He forgot that thing opened up. And
right. I saw Melissa Etheridge fall off a stage once. She was shaking hands with people in the front row, and she went right down.
Wow.
Same thing. Actually, I'll tell a quick other story. You mentioned Paul's wife Heather before. I saw McCartney at the Coliseum in 2002, and we had decent seats, and Heather McCartney had walked past us. She walked right past us, and I was watching her after she passed us, just looking at her, because she was a good-looking woman. Regardless of what she did to Paul McCartney, she was a good-looking woman, so I was checking her out as she's walking away. And she has a fake leg, and she tripped. And she didn't completely fall. She just went down on her knee, got right back up. But me being the schmuck that I am, I was, sort of, joke around with my friends, she fell, But the karma came back because then, just a couple of years later, I had mine. So he came back to get me. So Heather McCartney got me back. She got me back. She wished, she got me. There's karma for you.
What was that?
I'm guessing
that was my Heather McCartney impression.
Or an amputee.
See, I can actually take my foot and insert it in my mouth. I can actually do that, which I do often. So you didn't know?
I know now. You freaked me out a little bit.
That's what I do. I freak people out. Wow, it's almost 10:30. All right. So it's getting late.
Yeah.
However, we always end the show with trivia, which is usually random trivia where we just ask, random trivia questions. Has nothing to do with anything. We try to stump the guests. We try to stump you guys. We let you guys come in with your answers. However, this week we're going to do a little differently. A big Beatle fan, another big Beatle fan. We figure Sally's going to pick some cards out of the Beatles Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, here we go.
Last week we had our buddy Carl Wooden, who's worked with Billy Joel and is a media producer. He sat here and we did, was it Beatle Trivia last week that we did with him, or was it?
No,
it was Billy Joel Trivia. And
yeah.
I kicked his ass. Carl, I kicked your ass. So I am the champion. So let's see if Kenny Forgione can kick my ass in Beatle Trivia. Let's see if he takes the crown.
Oh boy.
So we'll just do it quick because we're running out of time. So we'll do 5
I have an
questions.
excuse.
You
have an excuse?
I'm brain dead if I
A
don't.
lot of people are still watching. They're really
All right, cool. So we'll just do That was my feeling. It was going well, so I
Plus,
figured we
it's
just keep
Easter
going.
vacation. A lot of people don't.
A lot of people are off. They don't have to get up. Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Although do get up by 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, so you can tune in to govsradio.com to hear the Knock 'em Dead comedy radio show with me, Sally, and Eric Shevlin. That's been going super well. Today we had Joey Cola on. We had a great time. Kenny was actually nice enough to check us out this morning. Joey Cola was just one of the best comedians ever. We had a great time with him. The show is going really well. We had James Goff. We had Stone Grissom from News 12 last week. Tomorrow we have Donna Natalie. She's a Long Island medium. She's not the Long Island, she's a Long Island medium. She's going to come, and I think Eric has volunteered me to get a reading.
You heard about the psychic midget that escaped from jail?
No.
Yeah, there was a small medium at large.
Wow.
Hey, do you know Danny Keene?
Yes.
He was on the radio show
He's
yesterday.
very good. He's
Yeah.
very
Amazing
good.
talent, amazing. But he's got a little.
Such a nice man, yeah.
He's got a little
Love of the
a little
fun.
pipe dream of doing comedy himself.
Oh?
So he was saying, what do you get when you have a ghost dating service? You can call it dead meat, stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. But I admit I enjoy corny jokes like that, so I was laughing. But then I told him stick to the music.
Yeah.
Phenomenal singer. So so check out our radio show, govsradio.com.
You have kids, right?
I do have 2 children. Yes.
What's the difference between if you were married, you know this answer. What's the difference between in-laws and outlaws? Outlaws are wanted.
That's good. I like
If
that.
you're married, you might know what I mean.
All right, so here we go. Sally's going to read the first question.
Okay.
Beetle
I didn't
Trivia
look
Pursuit.
at these. All right.
I'm scared.
Pete Best.
And what topics?
Oh, just read
Just
the card.
anything?
Okay.
Okay, I think too much.
If we don't know, we don't know.
All right. What band did Ringo first play drums?
Rory Storm and the Hurricanes.
That's right. Yeah.
The Eddie Clayton Skiffle Group.
That was
Oh
my next answer.
yeah.
Sure, that guy.
No, I didn't know that.
Good old
but
Eddie.
I knew Rory Storm there because
I
that's what the band he was in when the Beatles got him. I
Right.
thought that was his band. I thought,
Me too. Never
oh,
heard
they
of
were
that
all
one.
doing skiffle back then.
True.
Hey, I got one.
Yeah.
It's probably easy for some people, maybe not so. The Beatles had a lot of #1 singles.
Right.
How many did they have in the U.S. and how many did they have in the U.K.?
They had more in the U.S. I can tell you that.
Yes, they did.
And now I'm sitting here trying to do the track
not
listing
too
for the
intense
one
of a
album.
question. Well, if you remember the one album, like, do you remember how many songs were on that? Because that will tell you.
I'm gonna go
But
with
that's the U.S.
17.
For the U.S.,
Sure.
the U.S. album had 20 #1s. Guess what, though? The U.K. 17.
All right, so that's what I meant. The
Yeah,
UK.
Yeah.
You're on
let me
English
see.
time.
Sorry, Mr. Walker.
We have some parting gifts.
We got some parting gifts. Don Pardo, tell him what he's got.
That's right. Did you ever hear the story when Frank, he actually was on, remember Soupy Sales had a radio show on WNBC in the 80s? WNBC in the 80s. Soupy
Giamatti.
Sales.
Oh, God.
And Frank actually called in for some talent show or something, and he sang actually over the phone. He sang. They sent him, Frank, fill us in. It was like 50 pounds of spaghetti came to the house. There's all the spaghetti sitting in our house.
He
It
won
was-
that?
Yeah, that's what he won.
That's so funny.
It was something like that. It
What a
was
weird
some
thing.
ridiculous amount of spaghetti. All right, go ahead.
During John's childhood, what was Strawberry Field?
It was an orphanage.
The Salvation Army Orphanage in Liverpool.
That's right.
You see, I didn't know that. I thought it was a park.
It's a park now in Central.
It's a park
Florida.
now.
Well, actually,
Well,
you're right. In England, I think
yeah,
they did
I
make it a
think
park.
it's a
You're
We're
right.
going there.
Yeah, we're going there
Nice.
in October.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to Abbey Road. When we
You
were
want to
thinking-
go? Let me
oh,
take you
okay.
down. Cause I'm...
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Just
Just read one.
When we got I'm sorry.
Good.
When we got to Abbey Road, they were doing construction in the parking lot, so the gate was open. Me and Elio, we just walked right through because nobody was asking. There's all these construction workers around. We walked right through. We went up to the steps and took pictures right at the door. We got like 3 pictures. Sure enough, some guy came out. You're not supposed to be here. Okay, sorry, we didn't know. But we got the pictures. Made ourselves look important, standing right in the doorway.
Right.
Sorry.
What is Paul doing on the cover to his Ram LP?
He's holding
Horns.
the horns of a ram.
Yep.
That's a tie.
Yeah, because you both started with
Yeah.
your
That
names
one.
in there.
That's
That one
sign
I know.
language for
That
horns.
was one of my favorite
That's a
McCartney
great
solo
album.
albums. Yeah.
Yep.
Our band has done that album at BB King's. This is why we're kind of different than other bands. We did the Ram and the Band on the Run album in the
That's
same
cool.
night, and we called it the Ram on the Run show.
Nice. That's cool. I would love to see that, man.
Yeah.
What type of vehicle appears on the left side of the Abbey Road album cover?
Volkswagen Bug.
Yep.
That's easy.
I'll try.
What's the license plate say?
28F.
Nice.
IF.
One of those Paul is dead clues.
That's
Paul is a
great.
dead man missing.
Who is? Oh, you'll probably get this. Who was Stuart Sutcliffe engaged to at the time of his death?
Oh, the photographer, Astrid.
Yes, Astrid Kircher.
Sure.
Kircher. Yeah, Kircher.
All right, last one.
And what caused his death?
Brain hemorrhage.
Damn.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I just assume you know it's right.
You're a bully.
I'm a bully.
Derek and the Dominoes,
George Harrison.
who is Eric,
Layla.
who is
Patty
Eric,
Boyd.
Patty Boyd.
No.
Eric Clapton.
Patty,
All right. Let me,
Jim Gordon, the drummer.
Patty Boyd. Layla.
Carl Radle. Dwayne Allman. Carl Radle, the bass player. Billy. Who's the piano player? Billy Whitlock. Bobby Whitlock.
Bobby Whitlock. Who Godfrey Townsend.
yes, all
we're
of
not
those
home.
were in all the paragraphs. Okay.
Godfrey Townsend got to play with Bobby Whitlock.
Oh, is that right?
About a year or two ago.
He could still sing his ass off. Bobby
What
Whitlock.
song on Sergeant? Well, you'll know this.
Okay.
Sergeant Pepper is followed by laughter.
Within You, Without You.
I just remembered he did the whole entire album from like beginning to end.
Yeah, and when we finish that song, you know what Tommy Williams does? Yes, Kemosabe. Like he laughs like Ed McMahon instead of like, you know.
After you play the whole album, do you do the inner groove at the end?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
I was only joking. Oh,
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
What
great.
song on George's "All Things Must Pass" mentions Sister Mary?
The Art of Dying.
Yes.
Wow. Well, you see, he sings the song. Well, yeah. So
Yeah.
Great.
Wow.
I sing that
That's a
song,
great
The Art
album.
of Dying.
Well, you do the album.
Actually, it's funny.
Actually, I don't know if
I
that's...
did a recording of that. I
See
made
that?
my
There you
own.
go.
I made my own recording of that on Tom Cavanaugh's tribute to George
Oh,
Harrison. I
Pussycat
totally
Records
changed the arrangement around, and I had Chris Clark playing these strings from heaven on the song.
I think I
It's
had
totally
that.
different.
Because
I'm
Frank
the
on
last. That's
that,
the
right?
last song. Yeah, Frank is probably.
Yeah, so
on
I
it.
think I have that.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Ben
The Art of
Pussycat
Dying.
Records or something, right?
Maybe.
Something like
Yeah.
Tom Cavanaugh. He's another guy I got to get on here.
What is on the back cover of the album John Lennon Plastic Ono Band?
His childhood photo or something.
Yep.
Oh, very good. Enough Beatles.
I can't say enough. It's
No,
past
no,
his bedtime.
It's cool. He's too good.
Hey, that's Kenny Forgione right there. Thank you, man.
Thanks, man.
This is a lot of fun. This is
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
All right, so that's Kenny. Some upcoming gigs. Plug the band.
I got fired. No, I'm the leader of the band. Actually, this Saturday night. Oh God, it's going to be crowded. Talk about tribute bands. Well, this is a good one. Desert Highway is doing the
the
early
Eagles.
set at KJ Farrell's, and Wondrous Stories is playing the late set. It's Saturday, April 7th. Yeah. Yeah, so
Okay.
we're playing there. We got all sorts of stuff. We got a lot of gigs. Residency at KJ Farrell's. We play the Plattdeutsch Park, which we just did Jesus Christ Superstar.
Right.
A big chunk of it anyway. Last Wednesday, we did a big chunk, 2/3 of the Quadrophenia album.
I
from
saw
The
some
Who.
videos.
Oh my God, that was cool.
That's
That was
my
really
favorite Who album. I love
So,
that.
like, you never know what you're going to get from us. So,
WondrousStories.com, is that?
Wondrous dash. You got to put a hyphen.
Dash.
Stories.com. And next month, again, Denny Lane and Steve Holly will be playing with us with an extended band with horns and stuff. It should
That's
be pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Say, hey, thanks for having me. I only
Absolutely,
sang
my
one
pleasure.
song, but you know
That's
what?
all right. That's all right. It was great.
Well,
Little Cat Stevens number. Unless you want to play us out, or we're just leaving. We're just leaving.
Only
Yeah.
if Sue sings with me.
Oh, so we're just leaving. All right. We'll see you next week. Next week, our guests are the Pine Street Band. If you don't know who these guys are, they're like 8 years old. No, I'm kidding. They're like 17. I think they're high schoolers. Pine Street Band. They're fantastic. They play kind of heavy stuff, but they're great. They're our guests next week. That's going to be a lot of fun because I've known the drummer since he was a little guy. So that'll be fun.
I'm
hanging with
crashing the
them.
party.
You're more than welcome. Anytime.
Yeah, anytime.
So, that's next week. The following week is another singer-songwriter, local, Robin Eve. And she's fantastic, too.
She is. She's good, Robin,
yeah.
if you're watching. Cool.
So she'll be with us. So Pine Street Band next week, Robin Eve the following week. KnockingDeadComedy.com. Check out our schedule. We're playing Saturday night in Hicksville. So come to our show, then shoot over to KJ Farrell's for drinks and great music. All right? We'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.